Welcome back to Spraguever Homestead on another Mailbag Monday. I'm Nikki, and today we're going to be talking about the correct dosage for ivermectin in your rabbits. So one of the most common questions I get emailed or messaged to the Homestead page is just asking about correct dosage for using ivermectin in your rabbits and what method to use. A lot of people ask about paste wormers, injectable wormers, and of course using topical wormers like your pour-on. And so it can be kind of hard to figure out what the correct dosage is. The dosage that I was told by a veterinarian years ago is 0.01 cc's per pound. Now, there are other veterinarians who actually recommend 0.018 cc's per pound, and that's using an injectable or a topical, like your ivermectin pour-on. So, how you can use an injectable now with rabbits, you don't ever really actually inject them. Rabbits are really prone to anytime you break that skin, getting an abscess to develop. So all of your injectable wormers, you actually use topically. I prefer to put them actually in the ear, whether we're treating ear mites or not. Mostly because there are vessels in the ear that allow for quicker absorption. So that's my preferred method. You just take your syringe, whatever size you're using, put a needle on, put it into the vial, draw the appropriate amount out, take the needle off, and then use it kind of like a dropper or a plunger and just go ahead and administer it topically that way. Your pour-on wormers are exactly the same way. They're pretty much dosed the same way. Always check to see what the bottle says, but they're almost always the same thing. You never use the ivermectin gold. It's got other stuff in it that sometimes rabbits react to. So you just want the general ivermectin wormer, and you don't have to use the Ivamec brand. I buy mine off label. It's some whatever. I think I have Agromectin right now that I actually bought off of Amazon of all places. So it's really easy to find. Now, to figure out how to figure out what your dosage is, you just do a little math, right? And this is why I talk all the time about having a scale. If you've got a 10-pound rabbit, then you just multiply it out. Pretty easy to do. So you end up with 0.1 or 0.18 cc's, depending on how you're going to do it, what you feel comfortable with. If it's a really bad infestation of whatever, I would probably dose to that heavier 0.018. But if it's just something like you've just started getting some ear mites, that kind of thing, I would dose to the low end. Dosage is important, right? Ivamec is really one of those things, or ivermectin is really one of those things that it's super, super hard to overdose on, but you can. And overdosing, especially in rabbits, will cause all kinds of kidney problems. In particular, as it's trying to screen some of that extra medicines out. Rex in particular, and rabbits that are Vienna marked, and you'll know if you've got a Vienna rabbit, breeder probably has told you. They'll usually have bright blue eyes in a breed that doesn't have bright blue eyes. Like your Beverin will have bright blue eyes, but they have a blue-eyed white. Mini Rex have a blue-eyed white, and it's my understanding that that is not necessarily a Vienna mark. What that means is just for whatever reason they have less tolerance to the drug, right? So don't overdose. Dosage is absolutely important. Now, if you're treating ear mites or fur mites, a lot of times Ivamec tends to be a one and done. You may want to do it 7 or 10 days as a follow-up, especially if you've had a bad case of it. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's paste wormers, right? I get this a lot of times. Paste wormers tend to be really, really cheap. And there is a lot of really bad information about, oh, well, you can use them, just give them a pea-size amount, an eraser-size amount. Just put a bop on their nose. Look, don't use paste wormers at all. Paste wormers are wildly inconsistent. I talked to a vet about this years ago because we used to use paste wormers actually in our llama herd back when we did llamas. And what the vet said is, you got to remember that a paste wormer is designed for basically usage of the entire tube. While you can dose other animals with paste wormers, you just have to understand that the dosage is going to be off. Now, when we're talking about a really small animal, like a rabbit, you have to understand that as the paste warmers are stored, you actually get some separation of chemical. Because let's be real, it's all just chemicals, right? So the Ivermectin can actually separate. It's not consistent through that paste. So what that means is if you give a pea-sized amount, one time you may underdose, the next time you may horrifically overdose. Sometimes you may get a pocket of paste that has almost nothing left in it, depending on where it was stored, how it was stored, and the temperature at which it was stored in. So you may not be doing any good. You may inadvertently kill a rabbit overdosing it. Like I said, it doesn't happen all the time, but there are people that have sensitivity to really basic drugs or food items, and rabbits are no different. You don't know that they have a sensitivity until, unfortunately, you've killed one of them. So it's not, to me, worth the risk of it. But like I said, it's really hard to get a consistency. And the thing I don't like about it is, in a time where we know that we have drug resistance and parasites, the last thing you want to do is be underdosing. It becomes a recurring problem then, right? You'll knock out some of whatever is going on, but maybe not all of it. So you keep giving it, and every generation the parasites get a little bit more adapted to it until you have to go to a whole different thing entirely. So pitch the paste warmer, which is wildly not consistent for dosage, and just go buy a bottle of Ivermectin. If you have more than like 3 or 4 rabbits, it'll be worth it in the long run. If you have other farm animals, you can use it on them. But consistency of dosage, hugely important. All right, so I'm going to say it again, just to make sure that you've got it. Make sure you're writing this down. 0.01 or 0.018 cc's per pound. If you've got really small rabbits, and I guess I should mention this, so for most of us that do meat rabbits, bigger rabbits, you're going to find that you can get the smaller 3cc syringes with the needles on them. I use them for everything around here. And you can get a consistent enough number off the bottom of that. If not, you can use syringes made for insulin. Some pet stores and things sell them. Some pharmacies sell them. Yes, they will probably ID you for them. It's just the way the world works right now. But you can get those, and those are pretty consistent. You can, especially since you're using it topically, right? You can even get some of the eyedroppers that have medicinal markings on them that actually measure. You can use that, especially, like I said, for rabbits. Like if you're doing Holland Lops, Mini Rex, little stuff, you're going to have to find something that can allow for those little tiny increments. And I found that those work pretty good because you can eyedropper them in, squeeze out down to what you actually need. And then it's an easy method to deliver because it's just a squeeze bulb usually. A lot of pet stores sell them. You don't see them so much in feed stores anymore, but a lot of pet stores will have them for dosage. Vets sometimes will have them for sale. I've seen them on Amazon. I haven't looked in a while, but I've seen them on Amazon. So you can find those in different places. All right, so there you go. That is our video on talking about correct dosing for ivermectin. I love those kind of questions. If you have others, please send them in. You can ask in the bottom. In the comments of this video, you can email me at srhomestead@yahoo.com, and I'm happy to try and walk you through it. Dosage is important. I think it's a great question. Any other questions, feel free to let me know. And that's it for your Mailbag Monday. Happy homesteading. See you next time.